Now going to question 7. Here, the prompt is telling us that we should be looking for the main purpose. So let's read. In the late 1800s, Spanish language newspapers flourished in cities across Texas. In San Antonio, there were 11 newspapers in these years, but El Paso surpassed all the other cities. The city produced 22 newspapers in Spanish in that period. El Paso is on the border with Mexico and has always had a large population of Spanish speakers. Thus, it's unsurprising that this city became such a rich site for this type of journalism. So we're hearing that Spanish language newspapers were really popular, but there was one place that surpassed all the others. And let's look at the answers. What's the main purpose? A says to compare Spanish language newspapers published in Texas today with the ones in the 1800s. That's definitely not it. It was maybe comparing different cities and their sort of presence of different newspapers. B, to explain that Spanish language newspapers thrived in Texas and especially in El Paso. That's pretty good because it's talking about all the newspapers and also how El Paso stood out. C, to argue that Spanish language newspapers published in El Paso influenced the ones published in San Antonio. Maybe that was true, but there wasn't any mention of influence from one over the other, so we can get rid of C. And D, to explain why the Spanish language newspapers published in Texas were so popular in Mexico during the late 1800s. Well, the text does tell us why, but I don't think it was the main idea. The reason why is because there were so many Spanish speakers. That was mentioned really quickly here, that El Paso had a large population of Spanish speakers. But the point was more to show that the newspapers were popular and that they were particularly popular in El Paso. So the answer here is B.